Homes of this magnitude aren't about the floor plan, they're about the family plan. Yes, these estates are typically owned and managed by an LLC and a living trust. Now, what are the tax advantages? You hear about all these tax advantages that these people have. So let's talk about the 5 biggest misconceptions and the 5 realities of these mega mansions. So anything from $10 million up to, let's say, $50 million, your top market, ultra luxury real estate houses. Now, what the biggest advantage of these houses is people who have a business empire can essentially park large amounts of money and get depreciation write-offs. So what that means, it's not like a car depreciation. So the tax law states that for 27 and a half years, you can write off the physical house itself for depreciation. So the total amount of the house value divided by 27.5, and the land is not deductible, meaning for every $10 million, let's say the land was worth $2 million, you can write off $8 million in depreciation. So that would be $292,000 tax write-off per year for an $8 million valued house. Now, another tax loophole is what's called the step-up in basis tax code. And it basically, people who inherit houses of this magnitude are not responsible for the capital gains as long as they were included in the LLC in the revocable living trust. Meaning, if someone bought a house for $1 million and 50 years later it's valued at $20 million, the person who inherits that doesn't have to pay capital gains on the $19 million. They can also turn around and sell it with no capital gains tax. The only time you pay capital gains is if the head trustee who owns this property decides they're not going to leave this property to anybody else and they need, let's say, advanced medical care, and they sell the house to pay for assisted living. And so basically they don't leave anything to anybody else. Then they'd pay capital gains on that house, and they keep the money to pay for their end-of-life care and stuff like that. So there are exceptions where some wealthy people just don't leave it to anybody. And then you hear some celebrities where they died unexpectedly with no plan. And the reason that's a nightmare is because then you have to go through probate court. You know who the family members are. You know who's getting what. The whole purpose of an LLC is privacy. So most of these houses are not sold, they're actually transferred. There's a famous line in the movie Wall Street where Michael Douglas says, "You don't think we're living in a democracy?" And he basically says, money is not won or lost, it's simply transferred from one person to another. And he's referring to like corporate real estate, but in this case, it's the same for residential real estate. Most of these properties don't actually hit the market, they're simply passed down through the